was my birthday, November the 1st. I turned 30 years old, and I was drinking bright and early in the morning, and Sharon, my wife, said something, and I kind of took off. And I was violent, just like my father was violent. I was never sexually abused, but I was physically abused. Until I was big enough to fight back. And then it wasn't an angel, it turned out to be just like my dad. And then things changed when I was 30. Police came and I ended up in jail. The drunk tank. And that was a wake-up call for me, because I hated who I was, and I hated the anger and the bitterness that I had towards my father that I had never ever dealt with. I didn't know how to deal with it. But losing my wife and kids, and now as my wife and kids ended up in Crossroads for battered women and kids. And I knew that what I was doing was wrong. And then I went and I got the counseling and the help that I needed and went to AA. Why did I turn myself around and start doing, and others didn't? I don't know the answer to that. I knew what was right and what was wrong. And I just hated living the way that I was also living a secret. Never learned how to read and write. How do you learn how to read and write when your dad is beating the tar out of you every day? But back in the days, you didn't talk about abuse. It was all kept quiet. Walked away from people. It was like, turned to drugs and alcohol, and turned out to be just like them. Hated it. Didn't know how to change it. And that's when I ended up going to AA after I woke up that morning or late that night in a jail cell, and I said, I can't live like this anymore. If this is what life and living is all about, I might as well be dead. And I guess that was the beginning of the beginning. And turn around and say, I can't do this, I surrender. And it was like, whatever happens, happens. Went to court, and Sharon moved back into the house with the kids, and I went to AA. A lot of things changed after I turned around and grew up when I was 30 years old. Going to AA, started doing prison work. I wanted to carry the message. Wanted to go in and the 12 steps and all of that stuff. Take it into... Today, I really believe in second chances. If I'm looking at the work that I'm doing and the men, because the guys that we work with and that I've come across over the years have done some pretty terrible, terrible things. And to turn around and be able to sit with them and be able to work through those issues with them, I need to remind myself, who am I and what would Jesus do? And I think for me, walking into a prison and being that dad or that father or that to a lot of guys that came just like me, fatherless. Pierre Lard was chaplain in Dorchester. On Mother's Day, he had this bright idea on Mother's Day to take all these Mother's Day cards in and turn around, and part of his service, he made this announcement. He said, I have this pile of cards that if you'd like to send a card to your mother, come on up and grab a card and fill it out, put it in the envelope. I'll look after the stamp and send it off to your mother. He ran out of cards. He didn't have enough cards. The place was packed. It was Mother's Day in the institution. And he thought, man, what a great idea. He took them and mailed them off, and he thought, I'm going to do the same on Father's Day. Father's Day came and he made sure he had lots of cards. He had all kinds of them. He had more than enough. And it was Father's Day. Again, the chapel was full. And he gave his message and talked about being a dad and a father. And did the same thing, you know. You want to send a card to your dad? Come and grab a card. Don't worry about the stamp. I'll put the stamp on it and mail it away. Not one man came forward to get a card. What happened to dads? I find that very disturbing. Why do I do what I do? Growing up without a dad was very painful. They need somebody.